Hi everybody, I'm Brian David Marshall in the Tournament Center with Raymond Tan here at Pro Tour Born of the Gods in Valencia, Spain. You may remember Raymond Tan from winning Grand Prix Kitakushu playing Hexproof Auras.
Yes.
It was a good deck for you.
Yeah, during that time.
And this was the standard format.
Yeah.
But now it qualifies you for a Pro Tour.
Yes.
And the Pro Tour is a modern format.
Yes.
Something you had not played a lot of, right?
Yes.
So what deck did you choose to play in modern?
Green White Auras.
So what made you decide to go with this deck?
I'm a stranger to modern, so it's easier to control. Yeah, less interactions, and
You just want your opponent to have a frustrating experience and not be able to do anything about what you're doing?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. And now, how did the deck translate from standard to modern? What are the big differences between the two decks?
They're pretty much the same. It's just that they have the Kor Spiritdancer and the Coronet.
Sure.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at some of the cards that make this deck work in modern. So Gladecover Scout, one of your hexproof creatures. Slippery Bogle, of course.
Yep.
The really fun modern
Yes.
hexproof creature. Kor Spiritdancer, and of course Dryad Arbor in a pinch. But you said you haven't had to send a pile of enchantments on a Dryad Arbor.
Yeah, not a chance.
Attack. It hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened yet.
Okay, so talk about the interaction between this card and this card. What makes this deck work? I mean, it feels like when you start playing Magic, you immediately want to start enchanting creatures, and you learn that it's kind of bad because if your creature dies, you're just going to have used all these cards, and your opponent's going to have gone 4-for-1 on you.
Yes.
Right? So this Kor Spiritdancer, I assume, changes that dynamic a little bit?
Yeah, it actually gives you the draw card ability, and in a non-removal deck, it's actually quite good. It beats down a lot faster than the other creatures.
Sure. So yeah, if you're putting the auras on Kor Spiritdancer, it's getting bigger. But even if you're putting it on your hexproof creature, you're still drawing a card every time you cast an aura spell.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is a pretty big deal. So what are the auras you're casting in a modern hexproof deck? Let's take a look at the next slide. This, you said, is the most valuable card, Ethereal Armor?
Yes.
This is the same card that essentially brought you here to this Pro Tour.
Yes.
Ethereal Armor, Hyena Umbra, Keen Sense, all one casting cost auras. Talk to me about which of these was the card you really most want to see in your opening hand when you have drawn your first 7 cards?
Ethereal Armor.
Ethereal Armor always.
Yes, most of the time.
What do you think the biggest bonus you've given to a creature off of an Ethereal Armor is?
First strike?
No. I mean, how big? Plus how much?
This Pro Tour, it was total 21.
21 plus 21.
Yes.
That's a very tangible armor, I would think. So then you also have Rancor, so that 21 bonus becomes a trampling bonus.
Yes.
Spider Umbra and Spirit Mantle.
Yep.
Spirit Mantle is an interesting card. What is this card doing for you?
I was expecting quite a lot of zoos, actually Spirit Mantle helped me make my damage go through if I don't draw into my trample spells.
Right. So Rancor lets you trample through for damage, but if not, and they have just like a big army of whatever, Wild Nakatos and Knights of the Reliquary and whatever else, you can just sneak past everything because of protection from creatures.
Yep. Yes.
Okay. This is my kind of deck. I really like this kind of deck. This, of course, is the big card. I feel like people thought this card was almost unplayable for a long time, right? Daybreak Coronet?
Yes, I heard of that.
How tricky, how often does this card get stuck in your hand? How hard is it to play with this card?
The mana? Mana?
Just in terms of, because you can only enchant it to a creature with another aura attached to it.
Yes.
Do you ever find this card gets stranded in your hand, or you have an opening hand with multiple coronets, or is that just in a deck with so many auras it doesn't matter?
Not in this tournament, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's just never even come up. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I always am able to cast my Daybreak Coronet. Yeah. Unflinching Courage, of course. This is another trample spell for you,
Yes,
right?
trample.
So really, this is all about just taking that giant monster and either going through them with trample or kind of like sneak around the side with the Spirit Mantle.
Yeah.
Okay, so Misty Rainforest, Verdant Catacombs are your fetch lands. We see a Razorverge Thicket here. Let's just go through the mana base and see what Temple Garden, Horizon Canopy, Wooded Bastion, 6 forests. So you don't really fear Blood Moon too much.
Yeah, actually I do, but
You do?
didn't expect that that much of Blood Moon.
Yeah. Would you have changed the deck to have more basic lands if you had known that there'd be as much Blood Moon at this tournament?
Yeah, maybe a couple more planes.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the next slide. And we're into the sideboard. So you don't have any planes main deck. So Blood Moon is going to be pretty bad for you if you haven't already put your Ethereal Armor down or your Core Spiritdancer.
Yes.
All your white mana
That's
sources
pretty bad.
came from non-basics.
Yep.
Did you find yourself on the wrong side of a Blood Moon at all this weekend?
Yep, today.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 games.
Okay. So that's something that I think if you're looking to make a banned hexproof deck for Modern for the PTQ season, you definitely want to think about getting some planes into that deck. Because Blood Moon was a breakout card this weekend. So here we see your sideboard: Grafdigger's Cage, Dismember, Leyline of Sanctity. Going on to the next slide. Rest in Peace, Path to Exile, Stony Silence, Suppression Field. These all look like just enchantments that have some real value for you, or like very specific to certain matchups.
Yeah.
We saw Rest in Peace be really good for Reed Duke at the World Championships. Yeah. So I got to ask you though a question. I know we're doing a modern deck tech, but I got to ask you a question about limited.
Sure.
Okay. So you're playing it. This is Raymond's first Pro Tour. He's done exceptionally well at the Grand Prix level. So well, in fact, that Rich Hagon singled him out in my column when we were talking about potential breakout players on the Pro Tour. You have some 80% win percentage at the Grand Prix level. You get to the Pro Tour, you said, not too nervous on day one. You're like, oh, this is exciting, I'm at the Pro Tour. Tell people what happened when you sat down for the first round of day 2 of the Pro Tour and who you had to face.
Yeah, my hands are shaking, and my opponent of this game was John Finkel.
John Finkel. You're like, all right, welcome to the Pro Tour. You made day 2. Let's see what you got now. But you actually managed to defeat John.
Yep.
How did that feel?
Great.
That's pretty exciting. All right. Well, Raymond, it's going to be a great story for you to take home and tell people probably for the rest of your life when you talk about Magic beating John Finkel. But you've got another Pro Tour ahead of you. You want a Pro Tour qualifier?
Yep. Atlanta Pro Tour.
Yeah, Atlanta Pro Tour. And then Modern's a format for the PTQs now. Banned Hexproof might be a deck you want to try. For Raymond Tan, this is Brian David Marshall signing off from the Tournament Center.
Thank you very much.